how we occupied the land that never had a prime minister, never had a government, never had a currency, never had one person with historical ties to the land called Palestine.
She's saying, how possibly can you say that Israel occupied a country that never had a prime minister, that never had a government, that never had a currency? So what she's trying to say that Palestine was an empty dust bowl and Jewish refugees came from Eastern Europe and they took that empty dust bowl and made a country of their own. Let this question be answered by one of the former Israeli prime ministers, Golda Meir. Let's hear, what does she say about Palestine?
Say there's no such thing.
East and West Bank, no. East and West Bank was Palestine. I'm a Palestinian. From 21 until 48, I carried a Palestinian passport.
I hope that answered her question. Irony is she's a journalist and yet she doesn't know the history of Palestine and neither she bothered to read about it or listen to Jewish people like Noam Chomsky, Norman Finkelstein and Howard Zinn. It was not an empty dust bowl. If it was, the Jewish immigrants from Poland, Russia and Germany wouldn't have wanted to move there. It had ports at which Eastern Europeans docked at. It might not have been a country on its own, but it was always a province with its own governor. Palestine had a currency, government, passport. It even had Haifa train station. Palestine had passports, issued by the British. It had newspaper, the Palestine Post, which was then later renamed the Jerusalem Post in 1950. It still is running, but obviously the name was changed in 1950. Golda Meir and David Ben-Gurion, whose original name was David Groon, one of the founding members of Israel, they entered Palestine by obtaining travel documents as European refugees to Palestine. Then these Zionists slowly took over the whole country, and now the modern narrative is that there was no Palestine or the people of Palestine. This is just ridiculous. When North America was occupied by European colonists, Native Americans had no prime minister or money. Does that mean they didn't exist? But here in Palestine, they had mayors, currency, passport, and yet Zionists are trying their best to manipulate people by telling them lies upon lies that Palestine and Palestinians didn't exist. Palestine is recognized as a sovereign state by 145 member states of the United Nations. They all can't possibly be wrong. So educate yourself on this topic because education will prevent you from being influenced by Zionist propaganda based on misleading and deceptive lies, puns, and wordplays.